The heartbeat of the swing, that's the, well, I would call it the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock part of the golf swing. We're going about hip height to hip height. We're building the swing up right now. And as you get the heartbeat of the swing correct, the ball's going to start to go a little bit farther. Things we're going to be discussing with the heartbeat of the swing, the angle that the shaft should be moving on, or the swing plane as some people call it. We're going to be introducing a little bit of sequence so we can start to introduce a little bit of speed or a bit of power into the swing. But continuing the journey of building from small to big, from slow to quick, the heartbeat of the swing. And now we're going to go to 9 o'clock on the backswing, 3 o'clock on the follow through. I've got a training plane here to make a couple of points. You don't need to have one of these, but I do need you to learn something from this if you would, please. So look, interesting to see that in the golf swing is a circle, that's true, but it's not a wheel, it's not vertical. The swing is certainly not straight up and down, it's not vertical, it's not like the wheel on your car. It's not like the eye in Orlando. It's not like the Big Dipper at Blackpool. It's a circle at an angle. It's a circle on an inclined plane. Now, because of that, and that is the path the club must take, because of that, it's important we understand, before I get into some detail, the head of the club, the shaft of the club, do not move all the way along this line going back and all the way along this line going through. You do not want to try and make the club itself move straight back, straight through. You'll see here from overhead that if I stay on this plane, my club starts on that target line, but progressively, incrementally moves inside the target line. In fact, the head of the club is moving on an arc. Now here's a very important checkpoint. When the shaft is parallel to the ground, it is also parallel to your target line, or very close to it. It's not way in here, it's not way out there. When the shaft is parallel to the ground at 9 o'clock, it's about parallel to my string line, give or take a degree or two. Guess what? When you come through the other way, it comes from what some people call the inside. You might strike the ball if it was on the tee. It goes back to the inside, and when the shaft is parallel to the ground, it's about parallel to the target line. So you understand that the head of the club moves on an arc. It's on a plane, but the head of the club moves on an arc. It's very important you have that picture in your mind. Now, if the head moves on that arc, it is very important that you have sort of, I would call it a center point in the swing. We may as well call it the head for simplicity. You need your head to stay pretty still when you play golf. If you move your head over here a lot, it's very difficult for the club to move on the proper arc. So the best drill I've got for keeping the head pretty still, take a club, put it behind your back. We're building a bit of pivot into this swing now, a bit of body motion. Grab your belt or your hips, bend forwards in that good posture, and as you're going back, think that you're going to have your lead shoulder start to work a little bit towards the underneath of your chin going back, and your trail shoulder would start to work a little bit underneath coming down. It's not going to get all the way round and under the chin because we're not making a full swing, but done properly, tilting the shoulders, turning the body and keeping the head in place gives you a good center for the swing to work around. Probably history's greatest player, the one and only Jack Nicklaus, has spent thousands of hours doing this exercise. I think that might suggest to you how important and how helpful this exercise could be. Head stays pretty still, shoulders tilt, body turns. There we are. We've got a good sort of arc for the club to move on. Now you might say, well, that's all very well, Martin. I'll just tap one that way now. We're actually going to hit the ball a bit farther because we're making a bigger swing. The club's going to go a bit farther. We're traveling on an inclined plane. It's about parallel to the ground going back. It's about parallel to the line going back. As I come through, it's about parallel to the ground going through. It's about parallel to the line going through. And you can see that ball went fairly straight. You might say, well, that's all well and well. What if I haven't got one of these? Got you covered. So we'll get that out of the way. In the very unlikely event that you don't have one of those, we can simulate it to a great degree by doing this exercise. And this is what I would call an across the levels exercise. I've had some top tour professionals do this very exercise, had one doing it the other week. If you would take a club and touch your sternum or somewhere in the middle of your chest and extend your arms down here so that you've got, well, you've got a triangle between your two arms and your shoulders, and you just took that club so it would be about parallel to the ground, about parallel to your target line, and you took it through so it's about parallel to the ground and it's about parallel to your target line. That's the beginnings, that's the heartbeat of the golf swing. My head staying relatively still. I'm not letting the head move all over the place. I'm turning and tilting the shoulders. The feet and knees are responding, they're helping. But if I've got that club stuck in the body and I keep my head still, I will inevitably keep the club on a reasonably good plane. So that's actually a drill I'll do on the golf course. Now, so I'll put my good golf hands on it. I'll aim the face first. See how we're building this now? I might even have a couple of mini swings before I go to my 9-3 heartbeat, and now I'm just going to make about a parallel going back, parallel to the line, parallel to the ground, about 9-3 back and through. There's a little bit of footwork here. The trail heel comes off the ground. That's the basic motion. I've got one other thing that I want to start you to get in your golf swing, and that's a little bit of leg action. There's a bit of leg action in golf. So just a little drill for you here to just put the 9-3 in a good place. 9-3 is where the club must go. The head's got to stay pretty steady, that is for sure, but there has to be a little bit of weight transfer. So as we swing, you will notice here there's a gap between the outside of my lead shin and that box. Not a very big gap. As I make this move going back, do you see how that gap gets bigger? And it should. As I come down, I need to close that gap. I actually need to get my lead leg to touch that box. I call it box before ball. B, B, B. Box before ball. I don't want it to be ball before box. I want it to be box before ball. So, putting this all together, and this is going to help you with distance as we get to the longer swing. I've got my heartbeat of the swing, 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I've got my head staying pretty still. I've got my feet and knees responding, as you can see. I've got the club moving on an arc, not on a straight line. But I've got this box, because I need to have what's called a good transition, even in a small swing. 9 o'clock, touch the box, 3 o'clock. 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock and touch the box, and you are well on your way then to being able to make a full swing. So one last time. I'm aiming the face first, making sure the grip is correct. I've got my body, I've got the box there. I'm going 9 o'clock, touch the box, just a little bit of lead with the legs. 9 o'clock, touch the box, through. You can still see that now. You'll see the ball's beginning to go farther, and yet the swing is still collecting the ball. I'm not sort of trying to destroy the golf ball. I don't look like I'm putting out a fire with a shovel. Far from it. I'm making a motion. The motion collects the ball. The motion has a bit of transition. So we're moving on now. We'll be making a full swing next.